Minister, I welcome the opportunity to absolutely support the passage of this bill when it comes up, and I think institutional reform and restructuring of aviation policy is probably well overdue in this country. As a member of the COVID committee, we had quite a number of modules were spent hearing from the aviation sector, and we know the crisis that's presently in the sector due to COVID, and it doesn't look like there's going to be any resolution of that soon. And I know that your department is probably focused on that, and I would echo the calls of other deputies here to basically see funding and some kind of additional grant aid be given to the airlines as well as to the airports. I think too that maybe in the overall aviation sector it is time now to look again at the idea of what's in the programme for government in terms of regional economic rebalancing in terms of the aviation sector. I'm thinking particularly of our own airport, Waterford Airport at the moment, the South East Regional Airport, which has been awaiting funding for some time for an extension of the runway down there so that we can accommodate jet traffic, and we need that certainly when the economy gets opened up again, that we can start to revitalise our tourism offering and our business supports in the Waterford and South East areas. I'd also like to, and I think Deputy Berry has just mentioned it there, highlight Rescue 117, which is the CHC funded helicopter service there for air sea rescue in the South East. It does tremendous work, particularly in the South East region. It is tasked not only with trying to monitor our shorelines, but it also does a large amount of patient transfers and has done some transfers actually to the UK, to the Children's Hospital. And I'd like to give a big shout out there to Rescue 117. It is supported at Waterford Airport, and I hope in the future that the funding that will go into that will be increased in the area. Just in terms of what other deputies have said, and I think we can all lament that we do not have any more a national public funded carrier. And we know the trials of Aer Lingus as part of IAG Group, and certainly Ryanair, as big as they are like everybody else, are feeling the great difficulty that's there. So, as I said, I hope that government can step in. Other deputies have already mentioned the amount of state aid that was given from other countries in the EU, and state aid rules have been relaxed in order to support services. So I think this is something that the Minister and you, Minister, and the Department need to be looking at becoming active on pretty soon. And I think in light of that also, there needs to be some relooking at the importance of the aviation sector. I think if I recall the figure that was given to me from presentations was that it makes up about 10% of the economic component of the country. When you flesh it out, the individual services, the employment, also the tourism hit, because we have a lot of people travelling in and out of the country, obviously using the air services. And it's a very big business, as you've mentioned, Minister, in financial aircraft leasing, and has been for years. Ireland has been at the absolute centre of global aircraft leasing. But tourism and hospitality, I think, is an area where I and a lot of people would have concerns as to how quickly the economy is going to recover and how quickly we can re-establish low-cost fares, because that has been the basis of a huge amount of our tourism over the last number of years. And there are the potential now for fare increases because of, I suppose, some redundancy of aircraft, and I think we can expect soon green charges on fuel as well, which are going to add to fare costs. So again, this asks the question what level of financial supports will be coming from government here to offset those. I think also, just in terms of some of the things that we could be doing in aviation leadership, is back to the issue of a pilot training school. And certainly we had one in Waterford years ago. I'm not aware of any specific, there's certainly early pilot training schools, but not to commercial level in the country. Most of those students have to go to America to finish out their training. And I think now with modern technology, this is something again that we should be looking at and trying to support. And also in terms of the defence forces, what role will this regulator play in the future in terms of any air defence policy and coastline surveillance using the Air Corps? And I would also point out an area of development that is fast coming is the issue of drone technology. and the idea of logistics, using drones in terms of logistics as well as defence and surveillance. And I think, again, this is something the Department needs to be very alive to. There is no reason why, again, Ireland, as we have done in many other areas before, cannot become a global leader in pursuing some of this technology and some of the ideals of drone technology, which is going to be very soon a ubiquitous service that we are going to see. So, as I say, Minister, I suppose our role in terms of the global aircraft leasing, I hope that we can retain that, and I hope that government will be forthcoming on all of that. And I would like to understand in the future, with the passage of this bill, where the authority will intersect with this activity. And lastly, other deputies have mentioned it, but there's an absolute amount of horrendous pain out there in the economic sector with families who are challenged through unemployment, through furlough in the aircraft and aviation sector. And I know I've had, and I'm sure I'm not even a Dublin deputy, I'm getting quite a lot of representation from people who are struggling in terms of aviation, where their jobs have been furloughed and they're having great difficulty. And I hope, again, as I say, Minister, this is something that you can talk to the Department of Finance, to the Department of Social Welfare, to make sure that people are being tided over. It is very, very difficult to go from a very high-paying job to a very low-paying support overnight, with all of the costs that people incur. And I think we have to remember, as public servants, we don't suffer those situations, but people in the private sector do. And I'd ask you again to have a look at that with your other ministers, please.